I hope all of you are doing really well. Through the course of this lecture, we'll be looking at a very important topic, that is post-structuralism. So today we will complete post-structuralism, and post that I will be taking a very quick oral quiz on reader response theory. If you remember yesterday's pre-read that I had shared on the Telegram platform, and otherwise also the reader response theory that we covered, this becomes very important for you, fundamentally important for you to actually know the basics of reader response theory, and that is something that we'll be covering through the course of this particular session. So you'll have an oral test of reader response theory so that you know whether you are prepared or how well prepared you are, and you're able to assess your overall preparation, and we'll be looking at post-structuralism. Now, before I get started with the deck, before I walk you through the contents of the deck, there are a couple of pointers that I want all of you to keep in mind. Okay. Now, when we're talking about, I will share it. I will share the link. You don't have to worry about it. Now, when you're looking at post-structuralism, point number one that you have to remember about post-structuralism is that it is a discipline that becomes very active in the 1960s. 1960s is the period of post-structuralism. Point number one. The second point that all of you have to keep in mind is that there is a decentering of author's authority. What do we mean by decentering? The author who was the central figure gets replaced by the reader. That is what we're able to see. So basically, post-structuralism is a textual way of analysis. Everything is within the text. It is textual analysis of any work that we are talking about. However, what are you able to see? That the author is getting replaced. The reader is the one who's replacing the author as the primary subject of inquiry. And what are we able to see? That this displacement, this destabilization, this decentering is a very important feature overall that we're able to look at. So post-structuralism that actually begins with Jacques Derrida's intervention. Derrida's intervention actually starts post-structuralism altogether. What are we able to see? It is actually trying to look at both difference and difference. So there are two important things that Derrida talks about. One is the difference that is there, and the other that we are having is difference. Now, what is difference and difference standing for? Difference is a deferral of meaning, and difference is divergence of meaning. This is deferral. That one constant meaning can never ever come. One constant meaning you can never ever figure out. So how this post-structuralist philosophy that is coming in 1960s, it's all about decentering, destabilizing the author's position as a subject of inquiry and highlighting the reader, textual analysis approach towards criticism. Derrida is a key architect of this particular philosophy. Also, what you must remember is that Derrida's of grammatology. So this particular work that comes in when you're looking at of grammatology comes in. This is coming in 1967 by Jacques Derrida of grammatology. And here, what is Derrida showing? Derrida is explaining you the definition of deconstruction. Derrida is showing you the concept of deconstruction. Derrida is trying to tell you that how there. So basically, what is deconstruction? What is post-structuralism? Deconstruction or post-structuralism is trying to tell us that whatever is our knowledge, right? Whatever are the received ideas, whatever we have received. For instance, our parents have told us that sleep at night, wake up early in the morning. These are things that you're challenging. One of the people who's a stalwart in the edtech domain. I don't know. So he actually what he does is his schedule is 5 a.m. He sleeps, and he sleeps till about almost 10:30 a.m. or maximum 11 a.m. So is that has there been any correlation to this fact that you're sleeping? So everybody's got their own body, everybody's got their own time clock altogether. So whenever we are trying to challenge our received ideas, whatever are our received ideas, when we try to challenge these received ideas, that is something which is important, right? That is something which is absolutely important for us to keep that in mind. So that is what deconstruction tries to tell you. But it is textual methodology. There is nothing outside the text. There can be a postponement of meaning. There can be a way through which method is getting postponed. Meaning is getting postponed. You're not coming on to the meaning altogether. That is something that you have to remember. Okay. So here, what are we able to see? Can you hear me? Is my voice audible to everybody? Funky, refresh it. You'll be able to hear it properly. So this is what deconstruction is trying to tell you. This is what post-structuralism is trying to tell you. They are trying to challenge everything. They're trying to destabilize the established aspects. Now, what happens is that there are multiple terms that we'll be talking about, like praise. We'll be talking about logocentrism. We'll be talking about archie writing. So we'll be discussing a lot about all of these ideas. So slowly and steadily, let's look into this entire concept a little further in order to understand what is it that deconstruction is actually trying to offer. How is deconstruction shaped? So basically, what is happening is structuralism was trying to give you order. What was structuralism trying to do? Structuralism was trying to tell you that there is a specific order. Okay, structuralism was trying to tell you that there is a center. There is a center that you are able to see. This is what structuralism was trying to tell you. Deconstruction, on the other hand, says there is no one single meaning. There is no transcendental signifier. There is nothing at all. There is nothing. Your transcendental signifier or signified is not there. So deconstruction says whatever structuralism was encouraging, structuralism believed in fixed structures, structuralism believed in fixed meanings altogether. Deconstruction does not believe in that at all. So what are we able to see? We are able to see that Derrida who was inspired, Derrida by the way was inspired by people like Martin Heidegger. Deconstruction was actually inspired by philosophy. Philosophy will always challenge received meanings. Philosophy will say that you are always challenging the received meaning. So Heidegger had written Being and Time. He said, why is it that you have to read history in a particular way? Why can you not look at other aspects altogether? So deconstruction actually challenged the received ideas. Deconstruction questioned the received ideas. Deconstruction was challenging this. So the most important difference between structuralism and deconstruction is that structuralism tried to understand the fixed meaning. Deconstruction rejected the fixed meaning. Deconstruction actually rejected the fixed meaning. And one of the most important person associated with deconstruction is Jacques Derrida. What is the importance of Derrida? When we are looking at Derrida, there are a couple of things that you will have to keep in mind. And what are these couple of things that are there? He's a French philosopher. He is considered to be the founder of deconstruction. And please remember, like I said, deconstruction was influenced by Martin Heidegger. This question comes directly in your exam. Deconstruction was influenced by philosophy as well. That is what we're able to see. So here, when we are looking at Jacques Derrida, when you're talking about Jacques Derrida, was born in Algeria. He is the person who's trying to help us understand the deconstruction theory. He is the person who's trying to tell us that there is no one single meaning that is available altogether. By the way, there is a question that comes in your next exam. Please write this question down. Does anybody knows about tel quel? And if you didn't know, you now know about it. Derrida actually started an association in 1965. In 1965, what did Derrida actually started? Derrida started an association in 1965, and this tel quel was actually a French leftist party. It was a French leftist magazine, left-wing magazine. Leftist is which is trying to look at people's good altogether. It was a French leftist magazine altogether that was coming in. So tel quel was this association. By the way, literary theory was inspired by the student revolt movement that was taking place in 1960s. You should remember that as well. So what are we able to see? We're able to see that Jacques Derrida comes in. Jacques Derrida is an important figure altogether. Tel quel is of course important for us to keep in mind. So here comes Derrida. He forms an association altogether. And what are the most important books that Derrida has written? What are the three most important books that Derrida has written? Okay, what are the two most important texts that Elaine Showalter has written? Yesterday we discussed that. What are the two most important books that Elaine Showalter has written? Let's see how many of you are studying. Literature of their own and towards feminist poetics. Very good, Riya. Supratam. Lakshmi, very nice, absolutely correct, right? Don't forget one more thing. When you're attending these classes, don't forget, what has been discussed in the previous lecture. That is very important for you. You shouldn't forget at all. So Derrida's coming in and he's writing some of these very important works. First is writing and difference, which is important. So writing and difference is one work that Derrida has written. Derrida has also written speech and phenomena, right? So speech and phenomena. And can you tell me the third work? We just talked about it. Speech and very good. Of grammatology, absolutely right. Of grammatology, right? Of grammatology. So of grammatology, everybody will know. You should know about writing and difference. You should know about speech and phenomena also. These are the very famous works that are getting published. So in 1967, we are able to see that he's publishing these three books which are very important. Okay, and this is not the end. This is not the start. This is not going to stop altogether with the structure, sign, and play. That is something which is very important. So Derrida's work, structure, sign, and play in the discourse of human sciences. That was an essay, structure, sign, and play in the discourse. Structure, sign, and play. Structure, sign, and play in the discourse of play. in the discourse of human sciences, structure science, in the discourse of human sciences, 1966 becomes even more important. 1966 becomes even more important. This is the work that actually starts the beginning of post-structuralism. This is the fundamental book that actually starts, your post-structuralism. And Derrida was not happy with binary opposition. Remember, structuralism was having binary opposition. Structure is a language made of sign. Sign has signified and signified as binary opposition. He was against this binary opposition. So Derrida, what are we able to see? His most quoted and most famous assertion, right? By the way, there is a question that comes in your exams, and you should be knowing about it. Derrida had talked about a very, very famous line in Of Grammatology, and this is actually appears in Rousseau's work also, right? So he's given an essay on Rousseau in Of Grammatology. He has written an essay. He's written an essay on Rousseau. So there is one entire essay that is coming on Rousseau. And what is that line? There is no meaning outside the text. There is no meaning outside the text. Now understand this. If you have understood this point, you have actually understood deconstruction. Everybody was saying, if you will not believe in one simple meaning. Now imagine, yesterday we were talking about structuralism. Structuralism is all about keeping things at proper places. Now, if you are not keeping things at proper places, how will you be able to find it out? Okay, now structuralism is trying to say that there is a proper structure, there is a proper place for everything that you are using. But deconstruction is not saying that so for instance, if I say don't put the stationery, don't keep the stationery at its place, I'm just saying that deconstruction says you can find things within the text. But there will be multiple meanings. So a stationary product can be seen on the dining table if I'm taking the session here. It can be seen in the study table if I'm taking the session there. It can be seen in the room table if I'm taking the session there. So what are you able to see? You are able to see that there is a very simple concept that is being spoken about over here. And what is that simple concept? That simple concept is that deconstruction only wants to say there are multiple meanings, but there is nothing outside the text. It's not going to be chaotic. It's everything will be found within the text. You can find all the details within the text. There is actually absolutely no need for anybody to look outside the text. That is what structuralism is trying to talk about. Okay. However, everybody can interpret, everybody can understand, and everybody can actually see the meanings from the text. That is what they're trying to get. So in the essay on Rousseau, please remember Derrida when he writes his essay on Rousseau in Of Grammatology 1967. That is when this line is coming. There is no meaning outside the text. That is also important. Okay. By the way, there was a very recent question that had come in one of your PhD entrances who has written Origin of Geometry. So there is this work that is there, Origin of Geometry. So in 1962, Edmund Husserl's Origin of Geometry had come, and this is something that was a reference point. Please remember that in 1962, Derrida was publishing Edmund Husserl's Origin of Geometry. So Edmund Husserl had written it, and Derrida was publishing it. Like he was producing it, he was writing about it. That is what you're able to see. So a lot of works are actually coming. We are able to see our own subaltern critic Gayatri Chakravarti's Spivak was inspired by Derrida. So a lot of people are actually getting inspired by the way Derrida's writing. By the way, there was another question that had coming on an exam about specters of Marx, right? So this is a work that is coming from Jacques Derrida altogether. This is also a work that that Jacques Derrida. Right now, Edmund Husserl's Origin of Geometry in 1962 was being rewritten by Derrida. Derrida was actually writing about it. Okay. So what are we able to see? We are able to see that Derrida becomes one of the key central figures. Derrida becomes one of the key aspects of Derrida becomes one of the key aspects when you're looking at post-structuralism. Now, one thing that you have to remember in post-structuralism is post-structuralism predominantly, whenever we are looking at post-structuralism overall, is interchangeably used. Many people call it deconstruction, many people call it postmodernism. All of these are interchangeably used, and there are just some minor differences. Postmodernism is associated with thinkers like Lyotard. Postmodernism is associated with thinkers like Baudrillard. Postmodernism is associated with thinkers like Frederick Jameson. Also, deconstruction primarily is associated with Jacques Derrida. So that is what you're able to see. So a lot of these critics are specifically trying to shape the doctrine. A lot of these critics are actually associated with this doctrine. And when we are talking about post-structuralism, you can write this down because this question is also coming on exams. Derrida, Foucault, Bach also, by the way, right? Rolla Baudrillard, Julia Kristeva, all of these people, Judith Butler also for that matter. Judith Butler, yesterday we studied her in third wave of feminism. Remember the four waves of feminism that we talked about? We had talked about Julia Kristeva coming in the third wave of feminism. I hope you're all revising. I need to take a test, and that is the reason I started taking bits and pieces oral surprise tests. Very good, Ayushi. Judith Butler, Rolla Barthes, Foucault, even for that matter, Lacan, Baudrillard, Paul Deman, all of these are people associated. All of these are people associated with post-structuralism. All of these are people who are associated with post-structuralism. That is what you're able to see. So structuralism believed in systematic knowledge. Post-structuralism was saying no, systematic is never possible. That is what they're trying to look at. That is what they're trying to see. This is what post-structuralism is trying to talk about. Right now, Derrida was saying that so post-structuralism said metaphysics of presence. You're trying to understand things as they are, whereas post-structuralism wants to decenter. It wants to counterattack. So there was what was happening. Remember yesterday whenever we were doing post-structuralism, we had talked about phonocentrism. Phone root word means sound. Phone root word ka kya matlab hota hai sound. When you privilege speech over writing, when you are privileging speech over writing, that is called phonocentrism. Right? So what are you doing? You're actually going against this phonocentric belief altogether. You're going against the phonocentric belief altogether. That's what you're doing. So it is not that deconstruction doesn't have close reading. Close reading is definitely there. J. Hillis Miller is a very famous American deconstructionist and has written Stevens' Rock and Criticism as Cure. They're trying to tell you that deconstruction is not a dismantling of the structure, but a demonstration that it is already dismantled. It's already open. It is, it's apparently a very important aspect that they were trying to tell you, that the text is always open to interpretations. This is what J. Hillis Miller is trying to talk about. This is what J. Hillis Miller is trying to assert. So J. Hillis Miller very critically is trying to help us understand this particular point about post-structuralism, the fact that there isn't any center that is available, and the sooner we understand that, the better it becomes. Deconstruction also wants to tell you that there are no binary oppositions that are available. There are no binary oppositions that you are able to see. These binary oppositions, white, black, masculine, feminine, cause, effect. These are all wrong. These are all incorrect. They want to make it very, very clear. They want to tell you about it. They want to make it absolutely clear. That is something that deconstruction is looking at. By the way, they are absolutely against the concept of center. They do not want power to be concentrated within one hand. That is something that they are absolutely clear about. So what are we able to see? We are able to see a complete rejection that you cannot identify centers, right? Centers are not possible at all. There is this moment of undecidability. Sometimes you cannot figure out what is the true meaning of the text. Sometimes you are not able to, nobody Sandhya, after this class you can watch the previous two lectures. Sometimes you're able to see that, there is this moment of undecidability where you're not able to figure out the true meaning. The true meaning is actually not coming at all. So therefore, deconstruction, what is it doing? Deconstruction is trying to reread the text, trying to provide fresh interpretations, trying to tell you texts are something that can be dismantled. Right? And what is A por I? When you're looking at A por I, what is A por I that we are largely looking at? A por I is important. Why is it important? Because this is actually the moment of undecidability that we're able to look at. This is now all of these terms, undecidability, A por I, erasure, trace. These are all terms that are associated with deconstruction. These are all terms that we are able to resonate with when we are talking about your post-structuralism altogether, difference altogether. Please remember that. Let's just take it one by one. So when we are talking about A por I, what is A por I? A por I is again that entire moment where you are not able to come at a fixed meaning. Right? It is absolutely right. It is that moment of undecidability that we are largely talking about. This is the meaning that we are largely able to see. That is what A por I is actually talking about. Right? So deconstruction, you are able to see it's constantly trying to undermine the texts are open to rereading. You can always read it. Nobody thought that Tempest can be read in a post-colonial way. Nobody thought that Frankenstein is just not a ghost novel or a gothic fictional work, but can also be read as science fiction and other fictions that were coming in. So that is what is one of the most important things that we're able to see over here. Okay. Additionally, what you have to keep in mind whenever we are looking at these terms overall in post-structuralism, for instance, post-structuralism is trying to tell you that there is free play of meaning. Free play is a very important concept that he talks about in structure, sign, and play in discourse of human sciences, structure, sign, and play in discourse of human sciences. This entire concept of free play, that Derrida is talking about, it is important. Right? So free play, what is he trying to tell you? He's trying to tell you that meaning can never be fixed. Meaning can never ever be fixed altogether. There is going to be constant meaning altogether that will come in. So there is going to be an endless play altogether of the meaning. However, when sometimes, so that's what deconstruction is trying to open up. Deconstruction is wanting to help us understand the way theory is being formulated. So please keep that in mind. And like we said earlier, Yale School of Critics are actually your deconstructionist critics. They are your deconstructionist critics. By the way, please remember, philosophy is a major source of inspiration on deconstruction. Nietzsche also said free play of signifiers, meaning can never be fixed, it can never be permanent. And Julia Kristeva's concept of intertextuality, that all texts are interrelated, all texts are intertext, that is also a very significant concept in deconstruction overall. Whenever we are looking at this concept of Julia Kristeva's intertextuality, why is this so important? It is so important because whenever we are looking at Julia Kristeva's concept, or the Julia Kristeva's notion of intertextuality, the concept is very simple. What is the concept all about? The concept of intertextuality is that all texts are interrelated, we cannot find parallel meanings altogether. So while Julia Kristeva was looking at Bakhtin's concept of dialogism and carnival, she was trying to talk about intertextuality. So this becomes important that there are multiple ways in which literary text can actually be made up, and there are correlations that are possible. All texts are intertext, all texts are fluid in meaning, all texts can be correlated. You can correlate a text that is written today with a text of Shakespeare. That is the reason your Makbul will be made, which is going to be an adaptation of Shakespeare's play, or your Onkara will be made, which is going to be an adaptation of Shakespeare's play, because all texts are fluid. And at the end of the day, deconstruction is encouraging decanonization. You're destabilizing the center. You do not believe in the origin or the presence of the center. It is as simple as that. That is what you're trying to talk about. So structuralism focused on objective criticism, but deconstruction is not really concerned about it at all. So literature is something which is open to multiple meanings, multiple interpretations, multiple meanings overall. That is what you're able to see. Okay, always keep that in mind because a lot of times these kind of questions are constantly being asked also, and you should remember. We will of course be talking in greater detail. So overall, whenever we are looking at post-structuralism completely rejects the presence of essentialism. Essentialism when you're trying to summarize something. Let's very quickly, before I take you forward, let me just ask you your test questions. Please open another sheet because there is going to be an oral test. By oral test I mean I will be giving you options. So it will be an oral objective text that you will have. Did I send the scorecard of yesterday's text? 1 second, I'll just send it. Sorry, right. Okay, let's very quickly get started with the test that I'm having for all of you. Please make a note of it and let me know your scores also. There are 10 questions that I'm asking you from reader response theory, but they are very simple questions that I have added. So even if you've gone over your notes or you've done a little bit of research on reader response theory, you will by and large be able to answer most of these questions that I have put across. Okay, most of these questions that I have put across, you will largely be able to answer all of them. They're very simple 10 questions that are coming your way. Okay, let me quickly get started. So when you're talking about reader response theory, this is your quiz on reader response theory. This is your oral quiz on reader response theory. Let's just quickly get started. So what are we able to see? Reader response theory was a reaction to formalism, new criticism. It was trying to tell you that reader is important to make a meaning out of the text, and critics' role, they had always neglected the role that the reader was actually playing overall. But again, you're able to see reader response theory tries to bring that forward. Now the first question for all of you is reader response criticism was inspired by two important fields. Reader response criticism, like deconstruction, was inspired by Martin Heidegger's notions and concepts. Similarly, can you tell me, being in time or being in sense also, can you tell me what are the two fields that inspire reader response theory? Very good. Tanmay has got one right. No. So Tanmay got this right. Phenomenology is the correct answer. Phenomenology is the correct answer. That is of course there. Anybody else wants to give it a try? There is also hermeneutics. Okay, so your hermeneutics and phenomenology. Phenomenology wants to look at how phenomena comes about. It is a study of how we understand the world. What is phenomenology? It is a study. Logy means study of how we understand the world. How we understand the world. How is it that we are understanding the world? That is phenomenology. And hermeneutics is the theory of textual interpretation. Hermeneutics is the theory of textual interpretation. Textual interpretation is hermeneutics. Right? The textual interpretation that you're able to see, that is hermeneutics. So basically, phenomenology is perception. It is perception, and this is interpretation. This is how do we look at the world around us? And this is interpretation. How do we understand the world? And both of them are very important for reader response theory. Both of these are very important for reader response theory. So phenomenology deals with psychology. Phenomenology deals with psychology and social theory altogether. By the way, when you're looking at phenomenology, the founder of the movement was Edmund Husserl, right? Who's the person who's associated with it? Edmund Husserl is the person who's associated with it. Okay, so please remember that the perceiver was very, very important. Okay, now the second question that comes your way, the second question that you're having, so reader response theory was inspired by phenomenology, which is based on perception, and hermeneutics, which is based on interpretation of the world. Okay, the second question that you have is that there was a student of Edmund Husserl. You have to tell me the name of the student of Edmund Husserl. Edmund Husserl's student. What was his name? What was the name of the German philosopher that we're able to see? He was a German philosopher. What was the name of the student? Very good. Sharka's given the right answer. Sharka's got the right answer. It is Martin Heidegger, right? So Martin Heidegger is absolutely the correct answer. Martin Heidegger is the student of Edmund Husserl. He is a German philosopher. He is the student of Edmund Husserl. He is a German philosopher that we're talking about. He rejected his view that perceiver alone projects meaning onto the things. It is not just the perceiver drawing meaning of the world. The world is also shaping the way that the perceiver thinks. That is also very important, right? The world is also. So Martin Heidegger was very clear. Martin Heidegger says the meaning is not given to the world by us. We are also getting meaning. We are also making meaning from the world, right? We are also trying to understand our entire thing from the world. By the way, you need to remember over here that he first talked about the two-way process. Heidegger's theory was actually influenced by another person called Hans Georg Gadamer. So Husserl's student was Martin Heidegger, and Martin Heidegger actually inspired. So when we are talking about Hans Georg Gadamer, when we are looking at Hans Georg Gadamer is coming. And what is it that Hans Georg Gadamer? So Heidegger's theory was actually influenced by this German philosopher, this German theorist Hans Georg Gadamer. Okay, so please keep that in mind over here because a lot of times these questions are often asked to you, and you should be prepared about it. Now, third, this was a doubt posted on the doubts platform by a student also. Can you tell me that which theorist proposed the concept of horizon of expectation? Who was the theorist who gave the concept of horizon of expectations? Very good. Absolutely right. This is the correct answer. So when we are looking at Hans Robert Justus, right? Hans Robert Justus was coming. So Hans Robert Justus is the person, right? He was influenced by Gadamer, and he proposed this concept of horizon of expectation, which was a set of criteria. Please, two students write it out. It was a set of criteria that readers used to judge a particular work. So what is horizon of expectation? This is a criteria that is used by readers. To judge works of literature, to judge literary text altogether, This is what they are using. Altogether. So readers are bringing many different interpretations. They have their own criteria to judge a particular work. That is your horizon of expectation. That is what you're able to see. By the way, Hans Robert Justus talked about two things which are very important to understand the meaning of a text. Hans Robert Justus said these are two things which are very important if you have to understand the meaning of the text. What are the two things? That Hans Robert Justus talked about to understand the meaning of the text? What are the two things that Hans Robert Justus said are very critical to understand the meaning of a text? Very good, Diksha. Bang on right, bang on right. He said contextualization. Okay, so contextualization is important. Contextualization is important, and historicization is also important. Historicization. Historicization, that means I need to understand it in the context. Till the time, if I have to talk about Anjali's story, Amna's story, Ayushi's story, Diksha's story, you people are all students who are coming in the post-COVID era where we are able to draw the benefit of online education and we're able to study. We don't physically have to be there. So contextualization, historicization, both of them are very important. On contextualization and historicization, both of them are very critically important. According to Hans Robert Russell, whenever we are trying to understand the meaning of a text, that is what he's talking about. So basically, you need to remember all of these. Okay, there's another question that is coming. The act of reading is a work written by. The act of reading. The act of reading is a work written by. Who is the writer who's written the act of reading? Very good, Ayushi. Ayushi has got the right answer. Wolfgang Isser is absolutely the right answer. Wolfgang Isser is absolutely the right answer. So what is happening is Isser's effort are taking the reader response story to a greater orbit altogether. And here we have to remember that Isser was not completely. Isser said that okay, reader is important, but it's not that full-fledged importance has to be given to the reader. He said not full-fledged importance has to be given to the reader. He said you have to focus on the text, you have to focus on the historical context. So he actually was trying to talk about it, but remember, he sometimes also says remove the context and remove the history wherever required. So act of reading, the theory of aesthetic response, 1978. The theory of aesthetic response, act of reading is by Wolfgang Isser. Right? Isser said text is having gaps. What did Isser say? Isser said that text is having gaps. Yes, of course. Implied reader, right? So all of these are also actual reader, implied reader. These are responses that he's giving. I will be asking you. What I do tomorrow is I'll give you objective tests also, so that all you can be graded on these topics. But I want all of you to first of all cover and complete deconstruction entirely or post-structuralism entirely that we covered today. So what is your homework that you have to complete before coming for tomorrow's session? Tomorrow we will I'll be wrapping up a couple of things, and we'll of course be looking at postmodernism also. Like yesterday, there are some bits and pieces from Marxism that I wanted to talk about. So first of all, whatever we have studied today in deconstruction, post-structuralism, please try and cover that. Okay. And secondly, I want all of you to revise whatever theories we have been covering so far. Just revise all of them. Okay, just review all of them. That is something which is important. Wait, let me just give you the Telegram link as well. Alright, please revise this and come. I will be starting from here only tomorrow. And in case there are any other doubts, please feel free to let us know about it. I will catch up with all of you. But before I let you all go, I want to discuss a critic that is Roland Barthes. Roland Barthes is coming at a time where he is both considered to be, a writer associated with structuralism as well as a writer associated with post-structuralism also. So that is the importance of the beauty of Roland Barthes that we're able to look at. Okay, Roland Barthes, what is he trying to do? He's actually trying to, of course, talk about the death of the author and the birth of the reader. But he's also written works like Writing Degree Zero. Writing Degree Zero, he's trying to look at works of Flaubert, works of Mallarmé, and he's trying to tell you that these writers were going away from the language of which was appropriate because they wanted to create a new way of writing. Right, they wanted to create a new way of writing primarily. So Roland Barthes is also why I'm trying to highlight this is Roland Barthes tries to tell you about the nature of language. He tries to tell that because of his structural analysis, he's a structuralist, but when he tries to tell you that there is a decentering of authority of the author, he's becoming a deconstructionist. Otherwise, Roland Barthes predominantly is coming under the category of structuralism because he's looking at structural analysis, he's looking at language analysis, and he'll actually be continuing from here only tomorrow. Okay, yes, Komal, I will be replying to it. Yeah, Shubhi, we can say. Ayushi, I will look at it. Ranjit, you'll have to see that, I can't help you. Alright, perfect. In case if there are any other problems, please feel free to write me an email or put it on the Doubts platform. Ria, can you again send it because I have not received your email, Bajay. Maybe it might have gone to a different thing. Please just share it, I will of course reply to it. Thank you everyone, I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night.